Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of my Kerbal Space Program Let's Play. I'm your host, Calvin, and today we're taking a look at a rather nice and interesting rocket that I've built in this version of the game. 15.2, I believe? Yes, 15.2. Alright, so where to begin? Let's start at the bottom. Here we can see we have 8 solid fuel mega rockets, Tyberdyne boosters, from the Nova Punch Remix pack, I believe. Some radial clamps just to hold them in place, with some nice nose cones. We've got struts to hold it together and make sure stuff doesn't bounce around too much. And here we have an ion engine. The ion engine is interesting in the fact that it's quite possibly the worst engine in the game at how much thrust it produces. It's terrible. But the great thing about it is you can see all these packed up solar panels. It doesn't cost fuel. It only requires electricity from, say, a battery here. So I can, in theory, run it indefinitely. And that's what the solar panels are for. The point of the solid fuel boosters here is simply to get us into orbit, which I hope they will do. And then the ion engine should be able to take over and we can deploy the solar panels. Now, up here in this nose cone, it's an actual decoupler shroud. If you take a look inside, oh hey look, a dish. Some more solar panels, and a power tech symbol. For those of you who couldn't guess, this is a power tech satellite. And there we see MechJeb's brain. And a condemned command pod. The fact that it has condemned on it is actually has a point, and we will see why later. So that's basically the entire system. The layout is pretty simple. We've got the booster rockets to fire. The booster rockets will then break off. Then the ion engine fires. The next one will open the solar panels. I can't deploy these in the atmosphere because they will just break off. So I have to wait until I clear the atmosphere before I can deploy the solar panels. Then the next phase is breaking off the shrouds, and then the next one deploys the satellite finally. So it's actually a fairly simple rocket, and I like it because it looks cool and it's really, really big. I like big rockets. Alright, I will see you all on the launch pad. And we're back. So, for those of you who are already looking at my interface, you'll immediately notice that we don't have Kerbals on board this craft. Instead, we have the comm status and a MechJeb. Sun's setting and my launch window is closing. So, I've got to take off now. I'll explain on the way up. Because this craft is solar powered, I can only take off. The upper stage of this craft is solar powered. I can only take off. So the first thing you'll notice is that I've added on extra batteries and solar panels. The reason for this is because once you drain a battery completely, you can't charge it again. So just to make sure and, be careful, I've taken some precautionary measures. Now, for those of you paying attention to the comm status, you'll notice a path length and a round-trip delay. The reason of this is because this is an unmanned craft being controlled from mission control. So, what we basically have is a radio signal. And a radio signal can incur a delay. That means any action I take will be delayed by this number. And that is, of course, related to the path length. The other thing about this is that with the path length, that has to be connected to mission control in some way. If I'm out of range of not out of range, but out of sight of mission control, then I have to relay it through other satellites to mission control, which is what we're launching right now, a communications satellite that will give me another relay station and allow me to launch farther out unmanned missions. Alright, so that's broken. The solid boosters are done. Fire the ion engine. Okay, we've separated. Those apparently don't like that. It's rather scary, actually. But, oh well. They're turning around and going back. That's fine. Alright, so what's our apoapsis looking like? Alright, reasonable. 845. So, we've got a 0.01 second delay. That's fine. But we've broken the atmosphere, so... Oh no, those aren't set properly. But, oh well. I guess we can break the shroud early, if it means we get the extra solar panels. That will have to do. So, on top you can clearly see the payload satellite now. Ooh, a bit of frog in my throat there. Whoops. Alright. So, one little thing here has decided not to deploy. What a little rebel. I wish I could deploy it manually. Oh, I can. There we are. Okay, all solar panels are active. Alright, and let's boot up the ion engine just a bit. Alright. Power is dropping. Ugh. Where is it? I want the, I want to select the battery, but apparently I can't do that. Yeah, oh well. As you can see, the battery power will slowly recharge. For the sake of this, let's move this up here so we can see it. I wonder if I can close that. Nope. Alright, so that's just going to hog up a bunch of the screen. Alright. Well, we need to get our apoapsis out a lot farther than it is currently, so we're going to have to fire the ion engine for a while since it's really weak. I mean, it's not really... It's really not that great, and I only have one. I think its thrust is only about 50. Alright, so, first battery's about to drain soon. Alright, we'll have to cut power soon if we don't want to drain out the battery entirely, because the problem with the batteries is once they're empty, you can't refill them. And cutting power. Have to let the battery recharge now. We've got 21 minutes until we reach our apoapsis, which is the theoretical cutoff point before we have to fire the engines again. So it's only going to take us about 4 minutes to recharge the battery. At which we can, again, proceed to drain. But you say that I have 3 batteries. Why would I be conserving it right now? And the answer is because when I circularize my orbit, that is going to be a point where I have very little time in which I can recharge my battery, and I will need to use a lot of power. So I'm going to be saving the majority of my battery for then. "21 minutes again, so we are getting out there. Ever so slowly. It's going to be a slow crawl, that's for sure. But we'll get there, I'm sure. ×2 time warp. Battery is draining. Game is lagging. I've actually had surprisingly little lag so far, which is really nice. And cut power. Alright, so we got 35 minutes this time. Since we know from experience it only takes a couple minutes to recharge this, we're good. Alright. Let's gun it. So 2868 400 meters is a Geo Sync orbit. So we'll probably try and get close to it here. That's the thing, MechJeb auto throttles to 100% all the time. 6.3. Alright, MechJeb has this annoying thing where it pretty much auto throttles 100% of the time, and there is no way to stop it from doing that. So, for anyone using an ion engine, you're pretty SOL with MechJeb. It doesn't like it. Alright, so let's raise the apoapsis to the exacts. Done. Okay. Now, we need to warp to the apoapsis with a lead time of 10 seconds. Warping to 10 seconds before apoapsis. Now, you'll notice mission control is slowly getting out there. Alright, so we got 10 seconds. T-minus 10 seconds. 3, 2... Alright, and we're at the apoapsis. Circularize the orbit. This is where the 3 charged batteries are pretty much a requirement. Slightly after the apoapsis, but that's alright. So you'll notice this long blue line being drawn to mission control. If this blue line breaks, we are screwed if there isn't another, say, relay. Luckily, I think there's a ComSat trapped in that mess there. So, if that should hopefully do well. And, worst case scenario, we have this thing out here. But going from here to here and back will give me a round-trip delay of probably a couple seconds, and make any and all forms of control near impossible. Alright, so we're just going to have to let MechJeb pretty much circularize the orbit. Which is alright, so far. That battery is going to drain out now, and the next one will take over. Like I said, once a battery's finished, it just disappears. It's not a great system, but it'll do. What? MechJeb? How in the world has he... Man, how does MechJeb screw this up so bad? Oh boy. Well, at least he can circularize the orbit. I'm sure I'll figure out a way to even this out a bit. Alright, the orbit is circularized. Okay, so now I need to figure out how to adjust the orbit, because this is kind of not exactly good. And I am on a bit of a bad time frame, aren't I? Will I exceed ahead of mission control and catch up a bit? Well, I think the orbit's still technically mostly geosynchronous. If I just kind of go up and above randomly. I mean, one of the important features of this orbit is we just ever so happen to be on the opposing side of this ComSat here. Out of comm range, though. So, but we are in contact with mission control. That means if I can get like a third one here or well... really on either side. If I can just get one there or there, then that's what's going to matter. So, burn, raise the apoapsis, just to make sure. 2868.4, yeah, circularize. Just abort it, whatever. Alright, slow down, slow down. Prepare to deploy the satellite. Want to deploy it at retrograde. Alright then. Satellite is away. God knows, I think I just, yeah, knocked it. Damn. This is... Okay, this was not as easy as I thought it would be. Whoop. Whoop. Let's not play satellite hockey here. And I think we're clear. Yeah. It's not perfectly geosynchronous, but it'll have to do. So, retrograde. And let's bring this unmanned mission down. There is no parachute, there is no nothing. This is an unmanned craft, and it doesn't matter. And that satellite is in orbit. Bringing down the periapsis. Alright, looking good. Looking good. I'll have to get probably a more equatorial geosynchronous satellite up, but this is a good, like, third, fourth attempt at it. Alright, so we are, in fact, completely out of electricity now. Ooh. So we more or less get to watch ourselves crash into this planet. It's 3,000 meters a second. I'm not even touching the controls. This is just re-entry for you. I actually am still in communications with this device. Now you can see this blue line is going out to the satellite we just deployed. And thusly coming back to us. Since we are currently out of range of mission control, as you can see here. So, less than 10,000 meters from the surface. Luckily, this is an unmanned mission. Let's make it spin. Spin like a helicopter and fly. Ooh. But, yeah, it says this is a good attempt. I should probably eventually try and actually land on the Mun or something, and then eventually Minimus. I've tried a series of different orbiters, and this was more or less a prototype delivery system. I think I'm not going to be using them, though. I don't like it. Oh well. And impact. Boom. Nice little satisfying boom. Alright. Let's go to the tracking station. So, for those of you paying attention, you've probably also noticed what I can only call a graveyard at the end of my runway. Delivery debris. Payload. It was a complete failure, but we got another satellite up. That's all that matters. Like I said, that was originally orbiting Minimus. Alright. And that, I don't even remember what happened to that one. Or this one, really. Oh, those were too long ago for me to remember. But, either way, I managed to hit escape velocity, to say the least. But, yeah, I would say we did well here. It was a good first mission, and hopefully the next mission, I think I'm going to go for something related to the Mun or Minimus. Whether it be manned, unmanned, lander, I don't know. We'll see. Until then, Kelvin signing off.